Most people talk about future skills as if they're personality traits, not as tools you use, but as who you're supposed to become. You hear things like you need AI, you need coding, you need personal branding, you need to be technical. And usually, what's being sold isn't a way of thinking. It's a mastery of a very, very specific tool, a platform, or a tactic. And the problem is, many of these skills have a very short lifespan. Prompting techniques change, platforms shift incentives, interfaces get redesigned, and what worked 6 months ago quietly stops working. Some skills are durable, like communication, reasoning, and judgment, but many modern tools, specific tools, are not. They're components inside a system, and if you optimize for the components instead of the system, you don't become future-proof, you become fragile. This video isn't about predicting the future, it's about engineering relevance under uncertainty. And that uncertainty is real. AI is moving faster than experts can agree on. Forecasts are revised constantly. If we can't predict the next 2 or 3 years, trying to lock in skills for the next 10 is already a wrong strategy. The dominant narrative sounds practical. Here are the top 10 skills for the next decade or for this age of AI. And honestly, it feels good. It's clean, it's concrete, it gives you something to do. Someone says, take this coding course, master this AI workflow, do this now because in 6 months it's going to be too late. That kind of advice is very dopamine friendly. It promises certainty in an uncertain world, but it fails the most basic engineering test because time is a changing environment. In engineering, if the environment changes faster than your component lifecycle, you don't keep upgrading parts. What you do is you redesign the architecture. Think about a software. If an app breaks every time the operating system updates, you don't patch bugs forever. Eventually, you step back and you rethink the structure. Most people are trying to future-proof themselves by stacking new tools on top of an unstable base. That's why they constantly feel behind. And over time, they actually fall behind. They keep reskilling, but never feel secured. So instead of asking, what skill should I learn next? An engineer asks, what kind of system keeps producing value even when tools expire? When I say people feel behind, I don't mean they are lazy. I don't mean that they are not learning. Most of the time, it's the opposite. What's happening is an input-output mismatch. Inputs keep increasing, more courses, more content, more tools, more advice, but the outputs stay flat. There is no clear direction, no leverage, no stability. So the brain sees effort going up, results staying the same, and interpret that as falling behind. Not compared to other people, but compared to where you expected yourself to be. You're busy, but not grounded. You're informed, but not oriented. You're active, but you're not progressing. And the danger is this. When people feel behind, they don't slow down. They consume more and more and make the system noisier. Let's look at semiconductor manufacturing. Machines change every few years. Materials evolve. Processes get rewritten. But companies like ASML don't survive because they mastered one tool. They survive because how the organization is designed. They recruit exceptional talent. They operate with extreme precision and quality. They build tight feedback loop between the design, manufacturing, and reality. They understand the constraints deeply, and they embed learning directly into the daily work. The tools change, but the system that produces them does not. And that is the lesson. Now, apply the same thinking to a career. You have inputs, what you consume, what you work on, who you learn from. Then you have processing, how you think, how you reason, how you decide. You have outputs, decisions, leverage, value. Then you have constraints, the time, energy, cognitive bandwidth. You also have loads, complexity, uncertainty, speed of change. You have failure modes, tool dependency, identity lock-in, panic reskilling. People don't fail because they lack skills. They fail because their internal architecture collapses under load. You always need to start with a problem definition. What is failing? I keep learning skills that age out faster than I can use them. Under what load? Well, rapid change, AI leverage, global competition. What are the evidence? Well, courses pile up, resumes grow, confidence shrinks. The correct problem definition is that my value depends on specific tools instead of transferable system level capabilities. Engineers think in capabilities, not isolated skills. Capabilities are skills plus the system that deploys them. Here are 10 that never expire. Problem framing. This is the ability to define what actually matters before acting. Systems thinking, seeing second and third effects, not just symptoms. Learning velocity, how fast you can absorb, discard, and reorganize knowledge. Then there is abstraction, turning specifics into reusable mental models. There is the decision making under uncertainty, acting without complete information, where you act calmly. The feedback loop design, measuring reality, not emotion or effort. The constraint awareness, understanding limits before optimizing. Communication for alignment, translating complexity into clarity so others can move. Leverage identification, knowing where small inputs can create outsized results. Identity flexibility, not tying self-worth to a role, title, or a tool. These don't compete with skills, they host them. I see 3 patterns show up again and again. First, the person who learns every new tool. They're always busy, always consuming, always updating, but they're never grounded. Their problem isn't effort, it's noise. Then there is a second example, the specialist. Deep, impressive expertise, but in a very shrinking domain. When the environment shifts, rigidity becomes liability. What they need isn't a new tool, it's to distill what they know into principles that travel. And there is a third type, the anxious generalist, a little bit of everything, master of nothing. They're adaptable, but without leverage. What they need is to commit to optimize one system deeply. I don't want to leave you with just theory. Here is something you can do in near term. Instead of asking, what skill should I learn? Try and pick one problem. Make sure you have at least 3 constraints. And they should exist in the real world. It really must have a visible failure and someone that cares if it improves. It can be a broken workflow, a confusing process, a recurring mistake, a report nobody uses. And once you pick it, don't aim for a perfect solution. Aim for engagement. Ask what is failing, under what conditions, and what constraints exist. Then try to improve it, even slightly. If the solution is imperfect, that's fine. You've already won. Because what you practiced wasn't a tool, you practiced judgment, iteration, feedback, and decision making. You moved outputs, and once outputs move, confidence follows. And that's how you stop feeling behind. In closing, the future doesn't belong to the most skilled person in the room. It belongs to the person whose internal system keeps updating while others keep upgrading tools. Identity is not an input. Skills are not the foundation. The goal isn't to predict the future. It is to design a system that survives it. Thank you for your attention, and until next time.